Right, Ledgers, can everybody hear me? And can you see the Prime XBT website? Hope you all had a good weekend. Just confirm if audio is working and we'll start. Good. Hope everyone's well. So let's get the disclaimers out the way with, and we'll get stuck straight in. Yes, I do have a short on, and I'm going to explain it and where I'm wrong and a few. Hello CG, hello Jess, Random Head, Pierre. So welcome back again. Welcome once again to Bitcoin for Ledger's weekly live stream. Before we kick off, just want to say thanks to our partners, Prime XBT, who make this all happen for free for you guys. They're the sponsors of the show. So if you like what you see, use the link in the description and use code TraderSZ for up to 7,000 USDT on your trading deposit. So yeah, give them a follow, check them out. It supports the streams. Also like the video, share it if you can. As always, nothing discussed or featured today constitutes financial advice. As with all areas of investment, you should always seek the advice of an investment professional before parting with your capital. So, what's going on? So let's go over last week's trades. I did lose my levels for this because we were starting again. Let me find it. Apologies for that. I did have many levels marked out, especially from the last stream. Here we go. Here we are. So we're going to continue from this last setup and the level to level plays I did. Yes, XO. And the reasoning behind exiting. So if you remember, the main target was this box here. Okay, so I'm going to go over detail. You can watch the previous ones. And I tweeted around 35k I'm out of the shorts. Okay, if you remember, and then it sprung back up. And then I'm watching this. We played the level to level on the weekend I played, and we exited here when I tweeted I'm out around 37k. And I was waiting for this now. What's going to happen? Is it going to squeeze back up or back down? So, hi BTC Charlie. So, what's going on? So, if you remember, there was two scenarios. Okay, one was a trend continuation play, and one was a deep pullback play. So the key thing was the exits. So although I've nailed probably most of this down move, maybe not caught the long side, but my exits were quite nice. This exit was timed with ES, if you remember, and NASDAQ, and even DAX. And this was as well, as soon as the market, this was on the weekend, 37k level. And that was based on, so for those that were asking, I'll quickly go over it. It was like a little scalp strategy that I use, using the Monday's range. So that level there we discussed previously as being a key pivot. It was down here. And at the same time, this low coincided with Ethereum's Monday low. Okay, so when I started to find that rejection there, I was out. If you remember the tweets I did, go back on my feeds, all on my Twitter, all documented live real time. And then I was waiting today to see if we're gonna break down below here. So I was waiting for that deviation. It didn't give me a deviation, sprung up. So let's continue now and say, okay, where is price going? Where do I think market's gonna go? So one scenario was the trend continuation, and that was more or less if we had, really cleanly broken down. After this move happened, I was watching to see if it broke back down again. It didn't. The second scenario was the deep pullback scenario, which was into here. Okay, if this was a 5-minute chart, this is the area of a retest of the consolidation that's getting retested now. Okay, so I'm in a short at the moment. 421038. Let me get it up. It doesn't mean I'm going to hold it to the 29k target. Obviously, I'm going to take profits along the way. Okay, so I've been talking about this for a while. If you look on my feed, I've got my hard stop there, but I will look to exit or scale out before it happens. Okay, doesn't mean I'm going to have to exactly hold it to there or exactly hold it to stop. Worst case scenario, -1 up. It's done. So what is my reasoning behind this? So maybe go for it. Start with this chart, which I normally do. These are my basic ranges. So initially, we rallied up towards here. I was waiting to see if this was a deviation. And then it's done that retest now. And it's retesting this area. I want to see January high cap the market. If it goes back above January's high, starts holding, I'm wrong. And I will have to start looking for longs. Okay? And most likely, we're probably going to head back towards the yearly open. And possibly there. So that would be my range. That would be my first target, and then secondary targets there. Above here opens the range towards here. So I am playing level to level on this pair. As long as we're below here, January's high, I think directionally we head lower. I will give my thoughts on ES as well. I was lucky on ES, to be honest with you. I thought I was going to get stopped out. Came like 10 handles and then it gapped down and then I exited it. So this is the region, fast move up into resistance where I did look to short. Now it hasn't quite tagged this low, but I'm going to go over my reason why I've gone in a bit earlier. Okay, to cater for in case it doesn't hit that. Okay, so I'm just looking at something like this. So if you look at this is a consolidation, right? For the breakdown, it doesn't retest it there, sells off, eventually comes back up, and we got this high there, rejected, and then finally retested it, and then sold off. So if I'm correct, I'm looking for something similar. If we can get back below here, that would confirm the trade idea, and I look to compound. Or if I get taken out for whatever reason and it does that again, I'll enter back in again. So basically, I want to see. I'm glad it's a fast move. You want to be selling into fast rallies. I don't want to be selling into small grind up. Slow grind up is quite bullish. So having said that, let's start with a clean chart. Okay, so we'll do that. So that was those asking me about last week's trades. That's all in the previous reviews. So watch that. So if I go to the let's start with the yearly. Okay, I want to look at the yearly. What's the yearly shaping up to be? We're still below the yearly open. Nothing's really changed. Okay. Yeah, above the yearly open, very, very bullish. Okay, let's go to the quarterly. Quarterly still down. We are below last quarter's low. So the last quarter's low comes in at 421,498. Did we tag it on this feed? Let me just check. So I'm going to mark that out. The quarterly lows are always important for me. Okay, so I'm going to do that in a small, it's in a light color. Okay, like a dotted line. Then I'm going to go to the monthly. 1 second. And I'm going to look at the monthly. Okay, we pushed back up, but nothing's really changed significantly. And hello, Dr. Priya. So I'm going to mark out my lines in the sand. So I did do a snippet video. I did a snippet video for Ethereum, but the short term. So short term, I mean, okay, this is just, we're still within previous month's range, January's range. So I'm going to mark that out, and as to how that's important for me right now. So we're still within previous month's range. Nothing's changed. Now I'm going to mark out the levels on a weekly as to what is significant for me and what will really change the market. So if I look, these are the significant levels for me. So we're going to mark this out. And this is where things will change for me. If it gets above, I'm going to get very bullish. Okay. Ignore the shit posting. I don't know why people get so caught up with my shit posting. The streams are what I share. So that's range high. So on the higher time frame basis, my views have not changed as to this being range high. And this being my range low. We still haven't really taken the area out. Okay. So we're still really trading within here. If I look at that weekly level there, more or less close enough for resistance, support. Okay, they retest it there. But see that there when it breaks above it, retests it there. Push up, support, resistance. Okay, is this going to be like this? Or is it going to bust up? If it busts up through that, I'm very, very bullish. I'll get very bullish this, and I'll probably play towards probably these highs. Play level to level, those highs. And then maybe this low, and then towards there. So there's objectives along the way. So does that make sense so far, what I've done? And as to bigger picture wise, as long as we remain here, my directional play is going to be to the downside. But that does not mean you can't play longs within here. Okay? Oh, God. Kick this guy out. If you're going to troll, mods, if anybody starts trolling, just kick them out. Don't even question this. Kick them out. Okay, so does that make sense so far? On a bigger time scale, below here, directionally, I'm looking for lower prices. That you can play longs, obviously, within here. But the directional play, for me, would be to the downside. Okay, so having said that, let's continue now. So this is, we're on the weekly time frame now. So what I'm going to do is, what have we taken out? Well, we're on the weekly scale, so last week's high is going to be important. So above here, very, very bullish. But there's going to be plays within here I'm going to mark out as well. So I'm also going to mark out one more level, the January's high, because that's going to be my key pivot. So I'm doing a smaller level. Draw out January's high. January high, just so I'm aware when we go to the lower time frame I can see everything. Okay, so now last week's high is going to be key now. Is this a deviation stop run of last week's high, or is it a breakout? Can I use that support to pivot higher? So let's mark that out. Let's do that in a different color. We'll do that in blue. Okay, last week's high. So let's go down to the lower time frame now and start zooming in. So on the daily, consolidation, pushing up into resistance. So why did I short a bit earlier? So what I'm doing is, if we look, we had this consolidation here that was acting as support. So the minimum for me, so sometimes you get you get market, it doesn't exactly push up into key. On some feeds it probably does, but doesn't exactly push up. An example of that is here. So if you look to the left here, this was a consolidation, okay, here, support there. So this was the last consolidation before we had a rip, found support there, broke down below it, resistance, resistance. Similar to here, okay, so it may push up against me a bit more, but similar to here, this was the consolidation that pushed it above. And what I did was look for the bare minimum around here. So around 421,308. I mean, I've got my range levels there to refine it a bit more. But more or less this spike low here was more or less my selling area. Okay. So now I know, okay, I've got my stop loss a bit wider just to, like, in case it just wicks. I don't want to be taken out straight away. So, but what I'm going to do is if it starts getting back above January's high, I'm going to have to exit the market. And I'm wrong on the idea. Okay. So how it gets there, I don't know. Does it do a retest and get there? Or does it, like, I don't know, consolidate? If it does something like this and hold, then I'm probably going to start to get long. So see that here, resistance, support, 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 and then resistance there. Then I'll wait for that consolidation, see some structure build up. And if it breaks out and holds, I'll push it towards there. As first target, maybe this is a resistance and it's going to do a really deep pullback scenario. But all I know is that's the range I'm going to be looking to play for a long. If it breaks above that and holds, then most likely we reclaim back above here. Just like when we got above here, we pushed up. At that point, my range play will be, let's go for a more conservative target, as that's the level more or less capping the upside. So it's probably going to be like that. From there towards there. And then start knocking off each high at a time. Is everybody clear with that so far? Before I refine it down further. Does it make sense? Okay, so if I wanted to be more conservative with the idea and say, well, do you know what? I don't know if it's gonna, if the high is in or not. Okay, or if I want to compound later on. Where you stop loss? My stop loss is at about around 43.4. My stop loss, it's just a hard stop there, but I just like to, when I'm trying to, I don't like to pick a top, but if I do, I use a wider stop if it starts going above. So if it starts going above January's high, most likely I'm wrong on the idea. Okay. Now, if I clear this up for a second and say, okay, if I want to wait for a bit of confirmation, how would I do that? Well, if I look, I'll do this exact same approach. Just look for a deviation play, really. So if I say this is the area capping the upside, okay, then if it was to do something like this, say like a trendline break, I don't know. So if it is something like this, break and hold below, then that's a deviation for me confirmed. Then I'll look for the short. That'll probably be the more conservative play, the high probability play in the sense where, well, Marcus told you it's gone back below here, it's gone back below last week's high as well, and then probably play back towards where was capping the downside, probably around, I don't know, probably top of this consolidation really. So go for around here, take out these lows in towards here. That area I think lines up with, if I get rid of this, I'll go to the left, this was more or less the area that's capping this side here. So if I go to the left here, you can see the structure there, resistance, resistance, support, 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 support there, deviated, once it go back above, rallied up. So that would be a stop run in towards there, and then I'll see. If it comes into here, starts, going back above here, then I'm going to have to say, you know what, I'm going to cut the position. Let it bounce, and then if it next time around, if it comes back below here, because it's pulled back so deep, I think at that point we probably play a crack towards these lows here. And I could play a separate trade from there towards there. Okay? And that would more or less line up with my macro view of taking out these lows and then the rejection play. So if it does reject, get back above there, then I'll probably get really bullish, play towards here and possibly towards there. And longer time frame, it would just be something like this. Well, I'm not saying that's going to happen. The second bar is going to happen, but you get the idea of the range. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, so it's right at my extreme point right now. So if it's going to turn, it's going to be maybe a little push higher to even towards here is fine as well. That would tag these lows. But I've got my bare minimum target and I've got an invalidation. That's enough for me. Whether the entry is perfect or not, I'm not too fussed. I've got a defined risk in. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Luna's on his own world, isn't it? Luna's really strong. Luna's always done shit like that, hasn't it? So again, if I wanted to wait, if I wasn't too sure, I'd just wait just to get back below these highs here, really, okay? And if it was to do, get back below, so like I've explained, then I could play the downside again. Maybe a scalp target towards there, but ultimately I think towards here. And then we'll see if he takes out this low, rejects or not, or straight nuke. Okay. No, how do you play spot play when I'm shorting? Okay, that's that done. So that's more or less Bitcoin, really. Not much more to say on this. Yeah, so I'm going to see what it does. So if it reclaims back above this consolidation, I'm going to be wrong on the idea. Ideally, if it does something like this and then reclaim, and that's some sort of structure like this, then I'll get very bullish this. Play towards here and start knocking out each high. On the larger time scale, once or if we can get above this, then I think this will be really fuckery scenarios if we could squeeze right into there, because that will be the weekly resistance. But where I get really mega bullish is if it does something like this, okay? So if it does something like this, then I get really bullish this. At that point, I believe we're most likely, and I'm happy to wait for that. I'm playing a leverage anyway, not playing spot. So if you're expecting spot plays, that's different. But that would be more or less my play towards there. So above that weekly level, like I mentioned, that would be a very bullish play for me. I've just shown my stop loss. Watch the recording. Does that make sense to everybody? Everybody clear? Okay. So that's more or less it for Bitcoin. I've nothing more to add to that. So let's see if it slaps me out. You know exactly how I'm going to switch the bias and go for longs. Okay. So that's that there. Let's move on to Ethereum now. So Ethereum shorts, I exited my Ethereum shorts here at the same time as when the Bitcoin dropped around 35k. It rallied up. So I still believe this idea is valid. I'm going to break down Ethereum again in detail. Got the initial drop here. Okay. And this came in line with last week's Monday's low, which was capping the downside. Okay, there. So as soon as it came down there, although I shorted it there, I wanted to see if it can break down below here. So as soon as this came into here, Bitcoin came into the 37k level. Okay. At the same time, once this started finding support and Bitcoin found support, I had to exit. Okay, so I exited half the position and remainder got trailed out. Now, bigger picture, do I believe the idea remains the same? I do. Okay, so what I'll do is I'm going to break that down in detail and explain my reasoning behind it. This is just more shorter term levels. Okay, bigger time frame, I'm going to explain that now. So I did do a snippet video on it. So there's that last week's Monday's low. So those were these were the ranges I was looking at. So I was both of them came into key support. This came into Monday's low. And Bitcoin came into the 37k key support. I had to exit the position. Okay, and I just waited. I wanted to see, okay, if it broke back below here, that's trend continuation. If it rallied up here, well, I want to look to short again. Now, I don't want to short here, ideally. I mean, even though I'm short already Bitcoin, I actually would like a bit of a more spike higher to take out these stops. So let's break this down in more detail now. So on the higher time frame basis, it makes sense. These are more short term levels. Okay, they don't make as much sense. So same thing here. Let's look at the yearly chart for this. And then I'm going to do ES as well. We've got the right one. Okay. Down for the year. Not much to take from that. Quarterly. Okay, we got a quarterly level. How does that play out? Let me just check one thing. Give me a second. I think I missed out a level I was supposed to draw for Bitcoin. I've got so many charts going. I was looking for that quarterly level I drew out. Here's the quarterly level, if you remember. Draw that out. There. So see that quarterly level when I mentioned it? So I'm going to do that with Ethereum now. At the beginning. Remember when I said I marked at that quarterly low? So we're just getting a retest of that now. And usually the quarterly levels do have significant reaction. So we're more or less to the tick nearly. Well, close enough. Okay. So let's continue. So that's a big level here. So if it's going to reject, I want to see it from here. Above there, bullish. So let's go to Ethereum now. Do I have confidence with that? Remember that quarterly level. If I have to get rid of it, I'll get rid of it. At a lower time frame, so it's not much mess. Apologies, my throat's a bit fucked. So monthly, nothing much has really changed. We're retesting the underside of this. And again, similar to Bitcoin. Okay, macro V, I am bullish everything. Macro V. What is macro V to one person? What is macro V to another person? And where am I wrong on this idea completely? So usually, I mean, if it gets above, for example, something like this, breaks out, then I'm going to get very bullish, obviously. So similar to here, if you get above this consolidation, then that's it. I don't mind paying up here. I play on leverage anyway, that spot, and that's up. So what does that look like on the weekly? Similar to Bitcoin, range high, range low. And I would, if you can run these lows and then reject, then I'd like that. But similar to Bitcoin, okay, this hasn't taken up previous week's high just yet. I wouldn't mind something like that. Lower down. So let's go down to the weekly and say, okay, where are these levels I'm looking at? So what I would say is go to the daily, probably it's a bit clearer, and I have posted the charts for this. It will probably change a bit, but what we've got here is, actually let me get rid of this 1 second. More or less, okay, we can say, well, let's mark out this level here. Oopsie daisy. Close enough. We'll go to the weekly, I don't know. See, the feed I was using is a bit different before, and this one's a bit different. But it doesn't matter, it doesn't make a difference. It's a more or less the same area anyway. So here is the weekly chart. So let's see the significance of this now. Even a squeeze up to that would be okay, in my opinion. Doesn't change. But if you look at the weekly, okay, and we just did discuss this previously. We had that after the bounce, that was the first high. Got support there, deviation, gets back above it, rallies. Okay, you can maybe doesn't touch it quite, but close enough. Got support there, deviation, and it's retesting this. Could it squeeze up to here? Possibly. Okay, where am I targeting ultimately? Within that range, we've got two targets. One is obviously the range lows. Okay, and above that is this here. So there's two ranges within this big one. I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at this. Okay, so let's break this down in more detail now. Again, this is more for more directional plays. As long as we're below here, I'm bearish directionally. Doesn't mean that there's no longs. Of course, there are longs. If it gets back above here, I'm very, very bullish this. Okay, something like this. And again, this would line up with Bitcoin breaking out. So if Bitcoin breaks out above the weekly level I mentioned, and this is that, similarly, that's that weekly level. Breakout trend line, that's a beautiful long in my opinion. And that would be very, very bullish. At least towards here. Obviously, it's a level there. I am a level to level trader. And then knock off each high at a time. It's a key area there. And then obviously there, and then so on and so on. We'll deal with that then. Okay? Let's just focus on the task at hand. So that's that there. Now I'm going to break it down further down to the lower time frame. And if I look what's going on, Ethereum sort of making a lower high. We had that similar thing when Ethereum was here, didn't we? So remember Bitcoin when it rallied up? So trend is Bitcoin. Bitcoin like took that out, made a higher high. Ethereum was making a lower high. I sort of look at those kind of divergences at times because they are correlated, not too much. But what it shows me is Ethereum showing more relative weakness compared to Bitcoin. Anyways, what do we have here now to work with? So could it squeeze up? Possibly. So what I want to see is, so this is the consolidation. Okay, that's capping the market right now. I mean, I don't like this structure here. I mean, it could be the high. I'd rather have a stop run and then rejection. So what we've got here is this consolidation here. That's more or less capping the market. Okay. So a couple of scenarios I'm going to look at. One is what's the overall range here. So let's simplify this down. What's capping the market right now? That level there, and the downside is more or less capped by here. Okay, this is an extended. So this is a range to work with. Okay. Now if I add back this box in, okay. I don't know any coins. I'm just going to do Bitcoin, Ethereum mainly. Your altcoins Just do that yourself. So now that's pushed back up there. What I would ideally like would be if it's going to be a range bound play, and if I'm just going to play it level to level, well, already identified it's like ping pong within this range, right? So what I would do is run it up once more, maybe take out the stops, okay? And then if it then rejects, okay, and starts breaking down, well, that's my invalidation set, stop, run, done. And that would just be a level to level play back into towards here as target 1, and then target 2 would be these lows here. Is that clear? So that would be my trigger, level to level, target 1, target 2. Is that clear so far? That would be my range play, level to level. Now that that's done, the second play would be, oopsie daisy, got rid of that. The second play would be, okay, draw that back in. That's capping the downside. The second play would then be, okay, if it nukes straight through, it nukes straight through. If it then breaks down, well, that's a range breakout then. So initially I'm waiting to see, okay, if it runs the lows and then rejects, that could technically be a long. If you're going to play ping pong, well, we got a clear invalidation to work with, okay? That would be technically right. Doesn't mean I'm going to take it. I'd rather take trades in sync with the trend. I'd rather react to the rallies, but that's up to you, personal preference, okay, how you wish to play it. In a more range-bound environment, I likely play both sides. When it's more short, if I believe it's trending, then I'll probably just play one side. I don't mind missing out on longs, but that's fine. It works for me. And I'm happy to take that. Again, everybody's different. It doesn't mean you're right or wrong. Everybody's trades are different. So within that, what's the next target? Well, the top of this consolidation. And then obviously this low. And then lower down. So then that would be my trigger. Target 1, target 2. Because at that point, if it's not deviating back above, then that means that it wants to go lower. So that would then be my trigger. Within the range, target 1, target 2. Does that make sense? So either we squeeze up. If I wanted to take a short here, then I would have to cut it at a clean break above here. So maybe a small size in case it does. Ethereum's done that to me a couple of times where it looks like it's going to stop out one more time, but it doesn't. But ideally, I would like a run up, just take out the stops and then back down, and then I'll play it. Does that make sense? Is everybody clear? So in essence, that's one range. That's more or less last week's Monday's range, to be honest with you. Like this. And then after that, if it breaks that, that's the secondary range. Is everybody clear with that? Does that make sense? For the long sides, okay, at what point do I think, okay, you know what, I'm going to have to start thinking about, you know what, I'm completely wrong on the idea. Well, exact same thing here. Where would I reach for as objective if it does smash up? Well, the bottom of this consolidation obviously is the obvious target. And again, I'm just a level-to-level trader, okay? Unless a trend is obvious. So let it do whatever it's going to do. And if it breaks above, I'm going to see if it's a deviation or not. And if it consolidates and holds, that means to me it's not a deviation. It's a clean breakout, which I did go over last week. And that will be my long towards here as first target. And then if it's really going to run for it, start knocking off each highs at that time. And then that weekly breakout I mentioned, if it does that, then I'm getting ready for a swing trade. At that point, that's when my directional plays come back in. And at that point, we are back above that weekly level. We're going to probably start trending, okay, whatever the case may be. And above here, I'll start looking for swing plays. And that would be a breakout of the range for me. Everybody clear with that? Please keep the chat to the topic, please. It's a bit distracting. So yeah, the breakout play, which I'll say, okay, you know what, we're breaking out of the range. Start looking for swings, more or less above here, really. If it starts breaking above here and starts holding, then that's it. That's game over for bears, sorry. And short term, obviously, just aim for these lows here. And again, I'll just play level to level. Bottom of the previous range as first target. And then this, and then just start knocking off each target. Okay? If you're not playing BTC, then I can't explain it in any other way. I think most people here understood it. Yes, I will do ES next. Makes sense? And that's more or less it. That's more or less it. Obviously, extended targets to the downside. So obviously, you've got to be wary of this level. So if I want to play the second half of the range, like this, okay, well, once we get that breakdown, okay, obviously, I think we take out these lows. But if I didn't get in, so I think we've got a bit of a trend going on here. The secondary play would be obviously if I played it to the downside from that range, and if you came into here and rejected and found support, okay, I'm out. I would then wait for it market to break below here. So not a deviation. So here it deviated, breaks down, and then holds below. Then that's the secondary play, level to level. I don't need to hold on to a position sweating. If it shows me rejection, I'm out. If it wants to continue lower, then that's my setup. If it gives it me, if it doesn't give me, fuck it, so what? Next play. I'd rather be safer than sorry. Wait for my plan. If it happens, I'll take it. Okay? And that would be my secondary play from there. And then we'll see what happens after that. Does that make sense? So that would be playing the two ranges in a way. I just play level to level. So even though I'm bear posting whatever else, I know exactly where to get out and let the rallies happen. Okay, so let's go into ES. Okay, so I still believe they're correlated, which they are. I mean, these environments are quite dangerous, to be honest with you. Bear market rallies can be dangerous. I mean, I did get lucky with this. I don't know how I survived it, but I did. But I did short it around. My timing was awful, to be honest with you. I mean, I nailed a lot of these shorts nicely. So if you've been watching the reviews, you'll know exactly where I've been short from. 47.17, I remember that was one. And around here, about 45.60s, I think, something like that. And then the day trading it. Now, bear market rallies, you do get sharp pullbacks. That's if you trade a bear market, you'll understand what I mean. So what I'm doing here is, in essence, is I've broken this down into 2021 high, 2021 low, and mid-range. As you can see, the mid-range is quite pivotal. With that initial rejection, big rally up, okay? And with a deviation, pushed up. So this is where about 41.27 was our exit, if you remember, okay? So what we're doing is, what happens here? Is this a case of, I mean, bigger picture, if I look at it, I mean, I still think this is a breakdown until I'm proven otherwise. Okay, I mean, I could be wrong on this, and this is the low in, but that's fine. When the low is confirmed to me, I'm happy to play that get in late. Okay, but that's fine. I often do get in late, but that's my trading strategy, and I'm fine with that. So this is just to signify the breakdown. Okay, we had a quite significant breakdown with the ES. I think if I'm going to play, somebody question asked, I think the European indices are probably weaker. I think maybe ES and NQ range. Okay, maybe this is a low until after the Fed in March. Can't remember what day is it, mid-March? I don't know. I gotta check again. But until the Fed happens, I think this could be range bound. Okay, and if whatever happens, I mean, if we get above here, I think if we get above here, then I'm very, very bullish. Okay, and we're gonna play to new highs. As for targets, I don't know. All I know is above here, and I'm get very, very bullish. So for now, the question is: the high, low, lower high, lower low? Is this a lower high? I don't know. So what I've done is I've mapped out a clear plan as to what I need to see for my trigger points, okay, and where am I targeting, and exit points are important as well. So here, if you look at my feed, I did exit there. It's one of my Twitter feed, documented, and that more or less coincided with this consolidation here. Okay, that wasn't retested before, and we took out this low here. So that was my reason for exit. It was a sharp move. Yeah, 16th of March. So maybe we range. So that makes me think, hang on a minute, maybe the DAX and Euro stocks are better plays. Technically, they do look heavier, okay? But I don't know. I'll still play my levels, okay? Whatever happens. See, the good thing is, see, if I'm uncertain, or if there's a lot of uncertainty due to this war thing going on and everything, then the level plays are just the easier plays until I get a clean. I've been playing FX, and a lot of my swing plays in FX have just been whipsawed all the way back up. I think the overall ideas remains the same, valid, but the whipsaws are hard to hold swing positions, so I've had to adjust it for the volatility and stuff to start taking short-term trades until, you know, there's more certainty. So what do I do here? So it's basic for me. My line in the sand is this blue box here. Okay, above here, I'm gonna have to accept that, you know, I'm wrong. I think we can. It doesn't mean I'm wrong. I'm in terms of losing money, because I'm only, even if I'm bearish, I'm only gonna take the trade if it gives me my trigger point. Okay, a lot of the time I don't get my trigger points. Like this morning, I had no trigger for a Bitcoin short. The reason why I took this short is because I've got a clear invalidation. Oh, where's it gone? I've got a clear oh, for fuck's sakes. I've got a clear invalidation. Okay? But if I didn't have a clean violation like this morning, if you look at my feed, I think I was chatting to Crypto ISO, and I had this, I don't know, some trend line drawn. I can't remember where it was. Like here. So I'm watching this. It's on the feed if you look at it. And that was also in line with the trend line break here. So I'm waiting here. Price here. If it broke below, I would have taken the short. Because that's market telling me wants to go low. It didn't give me that. In fact, it rallied up. So in a range bound environment, okay, I probably would have taken that long. Based on, we'll probably keep a hard violation level there. But if it broke, I would have cut it. But I don't believe we're in a range bound environment. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm too cautious. Okay. And sometimes I may miss out. But I'm not losing money. That's the main thing. No, I didn't get stopped out. I got close to getting stopped out. It's on my Twitter feed. Check it. Everything's there. I'm not sure why people keep asking me the same thing. It's all there. Okay. So, yeah. Back to my point with ES. So, I was just talking about trigger points. With this, okay. So, I'm looking at this. I'm thinking, okay, where's the extreme point? I mean, how far could it go? I don't know. Okay. All I know is the extreme, ultimate extreme point is on these highs. Maybe a swing failure, worst case scenario. Worst case scenario, swing fails it and rejects. That would technically be valid. I wouldn't want that. But it is where it is. So, what I'm looking for now is, okay, we've got this consolidation here, and I'm looking like sometimes I look, you know how I get horizontal lines, and I get the deviation, and I get back above, and it holds and take the long, and similar with like this. I also use that with trend lines as well. Okay, so with the trend line, we've got this here. We can clearly see resistance, resistance, resistance. Okay. It also lines up with some sort of horizontal KSR as well. I mean, it doesn't have to be exact. I react to it, okay? There's certain occasions where I blindly have a limit order in because I've got a clear cutoff point no matter what. Sometimes it does squeeze up against me, but as long as the cutoff point hasn't been met, that's fine, okay? Because where I'm wrong is where I'm wrong regardless of whether I get the best entry or not. But we've got like a SR flip area here. So I'm looking at confluence now, okay? Factors of confluence to come back in. Yes, if you look at it, it's there. So what we've got here is, and if I drag that to the left, I mean, it's not the best drawing. But let's just draw it to the left as well. You get the big point I'm trying to make. It's a bit of a flip zone. So look at this carefully. So I'll go to the left. We got this there, there. Okay, close enough there. There. Congestion there, there, and then here. Okay, that's scenario one. So what I'll be looking for is, if I'm not saying this could be the top in, I don't know. But if it does that, okay, that's the high there. And then gets back below. So, oopsie daisy. I'll be taking the short there, probably in violation over the highs at the time, and play to the mid-range as that's the clear. Hang on a minute. Let me just go to the lower time frame. I don't know why I'm making life difficult by flipping, zooming all the way out. Here, that's better. Okay, so let's go back. Let me repeat that point. We got that high there. Okay, I would like a stop. I mean, it'd be a shame if they just took it. I think this did tag it. Let me just double check it. I think this did tag by a tick or two. I was so close. My stop loss was that high there. Look how close I came to my stop. And then boom, gap down. I closed the position. Although, you know what, I'll get in better. But I think today, it did tag it. I mean, the reason why I'm being a bit slow today as well is month end. I don't like trading month end. The price action for my strategy gets a bit funny. So I know where my edge is good and where it's not. And when I know it's not good, I'll accept, you know what, I've got nothing clear, I'll get the fuck out. Okay? So what I'll be looking for is, okay, if it doesn't, that's fine. I'll wait for the new month to start, see what we got to work with. But what I was looking for earlier was probably another run up there. If it got back below there, that would have been a deviation of this horizontal level, deviation of the trend line, and that would have been a nice level to level play, probably play it back towards the mid-range. And then after that, we'll see what happens. Okay? Level to target 1. If it bounced here, rejected, cut the trade. Okay? Is that making sense so far? And then after that, if it did hold below here, then that would be my separate level to level trade, take out these lows. So in essence, my ranges would have been, well, whatever the trend line break deviation is from there to there, and from there to there. At that point, I don't have to worry about what's going on in the world. All I know is trigger, invalidation, target, done. Does that make sense? If I want to make it a bit clearer, okay, really get down to the short term, do I have clear ranges? I mean, possibly. I mean, it's not the cleanest for me, to be honest with you. Sometimes you get really clear ranges to work with. Other times, you know, I have to accept I have no edge in the market. But I'm going to say that's my range low. And I'll say, I don't know, that's that there. You can see once it deviates, you go back above. So what I wanted to see was if you could have done that, get back below, confluence with the trendline deviation as well, shorting opportunity there, and I'm done. If it comes into here, starts rejecting, I'm out. If it bounces and then breaks back down again, then that gives me the invalidation to work with, and I play it back towards range lows there, and I'm done. Is everybody clear with that? Does that make sense to everybody? So the key point is, where am I wrong on the ideas for Bitcoin? How am I going to switch long? Am I paying bearish? No, I'm not paying bearish. The reason why I'm bearish in certain areas, for the reason I've given. But if market proves me wrong, I will take the long. And where am I looking for the long? And that's it. Everybody clear with that? Okay. I've got nothing more to add. Bitcoin and Ethereum are my main plays. Okay, everybody keeps saying Luna. Let's have a look at Luna. Yeah, let's have a look at Luna. Everybody keeps mentioning. That's very strong, isn't it? Luna's on its own level. Fucking hell. I remember when XO shilled me at like sub 1. And I forgot what it was. I think I lost a ledger to it. I did get fucking hell. Look at that. Oh. I did play Luna, sure. I'm not going to lie, towards here. And then I had no edge after this. I took a stop out at 53. But I did play this down and I played a few day trades. Bloody hell. This is when, you know, the fundamentals kick in. Fucking hell, I'm not going to fight this one. I mean, if I'm bearish on Bitcoin, okay, then I'd rather just play something weaker already. I'm not going to fight this. This is strong. Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to fight this. No way I'm going to short this. It's probably, you know, every now and again you get those coins that just, bear market or not, they're fucking using only like AXS, Link. I mean, Luna, obviously, I know it's solid fundamentally. I don't know what about Luna. I mean, I don't want to short this fucker. I mean, obviously, if it dropped, I'd like it. I don't know what to say at this. Let's break this down. Okay. Let's break it down logically. Okay. We've got this here. Strong as fuck, isn't it? And if Bitcoin confirms it breaks out for me, this is really going to go for it. Okay, are we around the early open? Let's mark out the early open. Okay, let's just do a detailed breakdown of this. Right, this is my first time doing a proper detailed breakdown of this. Normally it's just been short-term levels. Let me just check out this tagged the 50% of the last year. Close enough. It's the wick. We wicked it anyway. Okay, so let's go to the quarterly. We're within previous quarter range. Okay, I've not really got much to work with there. Okay, we got previous month's high there. So let's mark out last month's high, last month's low. Last month's high. I'm not going to mark out last month's low, I'll mark out this monthly low. Because that's capping the downside, right? That's my monthly range. So, let's go down to the weekly. I wouldn't want to short this. This looks fucking strong. Okay, we're at the yearly open now. Okay, we're at the yearly open area. Let's go to the daily. And say, okay. Now, this is kind of significant for me now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this. Yeah. So if I was to do this on the yearly, this, upside daisy. Hang on, I'm just trying to make that stand out. Okay, if I wanted to play, if I really was desperate for a short, not that I am. Okay, no way. I mean, I'd rather trade something weaker, and then if this starts breaking down later on, then I'd say, okay, maybe. But okay, if you think about it, okay, we're at a key pivotal level where this was, I mean, support. If you go to low time frame, find support there. Obviously, you can see the support there. You can see the resistance there. If I was to play, then my stop loss would have to be really tight on this. Not that I am shorting it. I'm only going over this because people have requested it. Okay. But I would like a run, maybe, where it takes like this or that. That's a weekly high, a monthly high there. And if it was to reject, then that would be a range play, probably back towards this consolidation. That's first target and then second target there. Now let's break this down. I'm going to make it more clearer. Okay. We've got a range identified based on monthly levels. Hang on. Let me go back again. Can you mark that out? Yeah. So more or less we got this range. And then we can probably call this our range high. Go back a bit. There. call that. It doesn't really matter. I think a zone would be easier, just to like there. Okay. So you see that's a deviation. Once it gets back below, sell off, resistance. Once that's breaking down, it's a breakdown, retest, sell off. So I'll be looking for the similar thing. So if I was to break this out down in the lower time frame, it's easier on the lower time frame. Let me go to the lower time frame. Okay. Yeah, that's cleaner. Why didn't I do this before? That's much better. Okay. So let's go with more or less this. Okay. So if I really was desperate, at least I want to see a run of these. Okay. So previously, as you know, once it does the deviation thing, and then if it breaks down, maybe like a trend line break, whatever, and that would just be a range play. I wouldn't want to go too far with this, okay? But that would just keep it within the range. However high it goes, I don't care. And if it does break down, then that's probably a short, probably target here, first target, and the secondary targets would be the bottom of the top of the consolidation, and maybe run these lows. And if it did this and then reject it back up, we can play it back up again, and that would just be ping pong within this range. Does that make sense? Is everybody clear with that? Now for a breakout play, I mean, I sort of find it difficult to, even if Bitcoin is bearish, okay, and sometimes obviously Bitcoin has been bearish, and then other altcoins do their own thing, I find it hard to long another coin. I'm okay missing out, so what? There's other trades. It's not as if my whole career is based off of one thing. But I've got to say, if this does break out, so I add in the levels again, if this does break out to the upside, I mean, which point would I really go for the breakout? I'm not gonna lie, it is hard for me here. But if this starts doing, I don't know, maybe just the retest, and then starts consolidating above here. So previously there were deviations. If it starts holding that level and hold it, and I can't deny that. That's very bullish. That's probably a long. On its own merit, at least. I mean, if Bitcoin intervenes and say Bitcoin does crash, then I'm going to find it hard to personally long this. But if it does its own thing, it does its own thing. That's up to you. Maybe spot plays are better in that case. But yeah, towards there. And then if I'm going to mark out measured move targets, okay, what I'm going to do is, what I do is swing high to swing low. So if I take the high to the swing low, so 127.2 extension levels I use, 120, 141. That's really breakout. Ideally, if Bitcoin can really like at least break and just consolidate, then it'd be kind of easy to play this to the upside. It's just with any alt, isn't it? If Bitcoin can hold at least, doesn't have to rally, just hold, just grind, just consolidate, then the alts do their thing, don't they? Does that make sense to everybody? Is everybody clear with that? Okay, I'll do one more alt. Okay, name one more alt. We go. I'm losing my voice, and then we'll do that. Anybody got alt? Any trading beginners? I don't really have. I'm at the charts all day anyway. I mean, I don't really take so many. I look at many stuff like FX. I look at may look like I'm looking at many markets, but they're from more of a swing perspective. If I'm short-term trading, I'll just focus on one or two. Those are swing stock. It just like I'll do my analysis over the weekend or something, or in the evening, and they take time to play out. It's not so quick. It just takes time to play out. So I can monitor so many markets. I'm not actively trading. I mean, I don't know how people do it. Right, AVAX. The request has been AVAX. Right. There's an unlock for this, isn't it? EXO? Is there an unlock for this? What date? Usually when the coin unlocks, I mean, you get something called bullish unlock, don't you? But it's an unlock for this, isn't there? Okay, let's look at this from the yearly perspective. How does this look like? Okay. Let's look at it. Let me just mop out. Has it this tagged halfway of last year? Just something always tagged. One thing is, if you've got the premium thing to this, go to the yearly chart or whatever you use. I always mark out the 50% if it's plays significant role. No, it hasn't in this case. 50% always on the pivotal level. 4th of March. Okay, that's interesting. So maybe you get sometimes. I'm not too familiar with these. All I know is if you're going to unlock the coins, especially if it's bearish conditions, probably going to be a big dump, isn't it? But more or less, if we look at this, right, that quarterly chart. So let me go back. Okay, Just gonna map this out. It always plays a significant role. I'll draw it out and I'll say, okay, is there any merit behind it? That comes at 99.02. So let's mark that out and let's see what that's like. This is more top down. I've got my smaller ranges which I'll go over as well. 99.02. Okay, let's just remember that. That is 50%. So I'm gonna label it 50. Great. Just so I don't forget when I'm on the lower time frame, don't get lost. Sorry. What did I do? Top. Right. Okay. Just remember that quarterly 50%. Now let's see the lower time frame and say, okay, is there any significance behind this? Or to the monthly? Just so happens we've just tagged that to the tick, haven't we? Okay. That's nice. There we go. Okay. So what do we do here is the question. I mean, is this one of those breakdown plays where, let's see, this is the tricky point for me now. Okay, it's just congested here. What's it going to do? Is it going to break down further? Where would be the objective? I mean, the first objective, if I was short from, I don't know, from there, it would have been the previous all-time high, right? And it's kind of touched that. So for me, I'd say, okay, we're sort of within here now. And then above that, we're there and then there. Now I've got to refine it. So what I do is, in that case, is if I'm unsure, I'll start lower time frame trading it. And if it gives me some sort of confirmation, then I'll go more to the high time frame. So I remember this was the last week's Monday's range, which is the 21st. So let's mark that up. Last week's Monday's range, last week's high. So we know that 50% is tagged to the tick. So we know that's significant. So Monday's high. And actually there was a trade in this that I posted on Twitter. And this is why the targets, I always have to, if I'm unsure. So we can more or less see we're within that. Okay. So it's my in violation is quite clear. If it makes a clean break above here, what's going to be the objective towards there? Maybe we go a bit conservative and go for this high as first target. If it breaks above, which I'm going to break down, but just remember this, target 1, target 2. Above the mid-range, that's when I get very bullish. So if it gets above the mid-range, okay, then that would be like a... Wasn't their favorite? Like Luna, Solana, AVAX did their thing. So above here, okay, that's like a trendline breaker, and it's confirmed breakout by consolidating and breaking away further. That was very bullish for me. That will be very bullish. Probably target these highs then, and then see if you can go to new high or all-time high. But that would be the range then. Above the 50%, that's trendline break. At that point, it's not doing a deviation. Above here, I might, like I said, this is more from a trading perspective and how I do things. It may not be what you used to or what you like, but who cares? This is how I do things. But that would be the high probability play, and then there. So target 1 and the second range there. And then after that, we'll start going for higher up targets. That's first scenario. Okay? Everybody clear with that? Then we'll break it down. So for now, let's just focus on this. So I know exactly what I'm dealing with. I'm dealing within here. After that, I'm dealing within there and then there. And then below that, what am I dealing with? So let's mark on my downside scenarios just from a zoomed out perspective before we zoom in. If that breaks, then where are we more or less likely to go? Well, it's going to be here. Just have my targets ready. Okay. Okay, take out these lows. Probably, let's go more conservative and say that low. So below Monday's low, below the trend line is that. And then after that, maybe this swing low here. Okay, just so I know where am I targeting if we do break down. So let's go down now to the lower time frame and start mapping out scenarios. So the first scenario I had, and if you look at the chart, I think I posted to Strong Hedge. Give a follow, good mate of mine. Was scenario 1 was deviation on Monday's high. So that's Monday's high, Monday's low. You can see deviation gets back above, pushes towards Monday's high. Deviation gets above, pushes towards Monday's high. Halfway point is around there, and then extreme end there. And once it broke here, obviously what did you do? You pushed that there. It did come to the extreme end. So is this a bullish sign? Making a higher low, not unable to break down? Possibly. So I'm going to break this down further and mark out some trigger plans. Now, yeah, don't like this. Okay. I know it's kind of looking bullish to me. You know, I am finding it hard to melt back bearish scenarios. But this is where I'm probably going to go to scalp mode, to day trade mode. Okay. So scenario 1 is, so what's capping this market to the downside here is there. So what I would like to see is, one is rally up, and then if you can break down, scalp targets, I'm gonna go to scalp mode because I don't know. If I'm not sure, I'm going to really short-term trading. Even though it's just that's high probability for me. And the secondary targets would be, so target 1, because that's a deviation confirmed. That's a run of those highs. Target 2 and then target 3. It's done. That's it. And then the further breakdown scenario would be, well, what's capping the downside? Okay, so our target is going to be there. So what's capping the downside is, I mean, if it does nuke further, okay, happy days. If not, so what's capping the downside? I'd say maybe this area here. So if it was to make a clean break below here, it's a breakout trend line. It's a break below Monday's low. It's holding below it from there towards there. In violation will be one of the swing highs that took it below. To the long side, okay, I mean, I'm not going to blindly long it here. It's not in an area, but I'll play the breakout. Okay, you can start pushing your alts now. This will be the last one. I'm getting tired. Okay, so maybe this is the low. What would be my objective for price? I don't know. It's going to have to be the extreme end, isn't it? Probably the low there. That's the extreme end, right? So, what was capping the upside previously is more or less here. Okay? So if it was to make a clean breakout and then hold, well, that now it's not a deviation anymore. Okay? It's clean breakout. Listen, you've posted dot about 5 times. I'm going to have to put it in timeout. And that's your long. Breakout of Monday's range. It's holding above target 1. And then target 2 would be there if it's got legs. Is everybody clear with that? Does that make sense? So that's how I play my ranges. Short term, if I'm unsure, I'm going to have to go into really small term, short term trading. Or I'll just wait. Give me a clean break on either side and that's it. So that's about it for now. I'm getting tired. Hope that made sense. Hope my Bitcoin plan and Ethereum plan are clear. If I'm wrong on the shorts, I'm going to take the longs. Okay, check out Prime XBT. Use the link in the description. Use TraderSZ promo code to support the channel. And catch you guys next week. Bye-bye.